Hello, Leslie.
Hi, good
Hi,
morning.
hi, good morning. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then we will go with the questions.
Sure. I'm a mom of triplets, and I'm in business, so I work from home, and I get to travel around with the boys and go to dance competitions and follow them around and keep track of them. And that's kind of me in a nutshell.
What type of business do you do?
I have two. One is commercial maintenance, and the other one is kitchen and bathroom products for commercial settings primarily.
So you run your own business, you run your own house, you run your own kids.
Yes.
You are the woman that runs the world. So tell us more about your sons, because your triplets are very well known on the social media. Especially Jordan is very famous guy, the superstar. So tell us a little bit about the boys, how they became triplets, what happened, something, because people asking all these questions like triplets, really triplets, not twins. So we have two on the identical, right?
Yes.
And one is
Fraternal.
fraternal.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Connor and Jordan are identical, and then Mason's fraternal. So very early on in my pregnancy, they said you're gonna have triplets. Two are identical, one's fraternal, and then later they said they're all boys. I'm like, what? What am I gonna do with all boys? I wanted all girls. Now I'm thankful that they seem like a lot less maintenance in their teenage years. But so early on, they've always had tons of energy. They like when they would get home from preschool or kindergarten, they'd want to have dance parties every night before bed, or like
Oh,
after bath, whatever. And they'd want to dance around, and we'd play all kinds of music on YouTube, and they loved it. And they would just had all this energy. And it was a way to work it out, especially if it was bad weather. They would dance around the house. And then when I would watch Dancing with the Stars, that was my only exposure to ballroom dancing at all. They would watch it with me, and they said, we want to be on that show. And I said, well, the only way you can do that is to either become a professional ballroom dancer or become famous, like at least on YouTube, some sort of presence out there. And so I looked around for dance studios. I was like, let's give it a try and let's see if they're any good. Like, maybe
but
they
I
can do it.
remember that you came to Volga with a Groupon, right?
Yes.
Yes. I
Yeah.
remember that. There was a
So,
Groupon or something like that. So that, see, sometimes it's for business, it's a bad advertisement because Groupon is really cheap and everything. But sometimes people that you do not expect to see, they actually see it and they come.
right. Well, like I said, I didn't know anything about ballroom dancing. So I started researching, are there ballroom dancing studios in Atlanta? Do any of them cater to kids? Because I'd heard of like Fred Astaire, things like that. But I'd always seen like adult couples, on advertisements and things like that. So I found Volga's website and a couple of others. And then I found the Groupon. And I said, especially just to try it out. Like it was their birthday, and one of my friends was like, what can I get the boys? I'm like, well, you can get them some ballroom dancing classes. And she said, okay. So she bought two of them. I bought one of them. And then they started in October of 2016, and the rest is history.
Yes. So I have a few questions
Sure.
that are saved for you here. We already talked about why ballroom dancing for the boys, because they kind of like the dance, and then you brought them, and then tell us what made you stay.
Well, so,
Because I remember training them, they did not like it. They like to hang out, but they when they faced the actual training, they didn't like the training. So did you hear from the boys that I want to quit, I don't want to do it, or something? Where was the moment when you're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and that's what we're doing?
right. Well, as far as like traditional American sports and sports that I grew up with, there's obviously baseball, basketball, and football, and I love all those sports. I was a cheerleader in middle school and high school, and I love attending those kind of games and watching those kind of events. But they're also very injury prone, and I wanted my kids to do sports in general. I wanted them to stay active. I don't want them just sitting behind screens all the time. But I also don't want them to have a ton of concussions and have potential brain damage and all these types of things, because that stays with them forever. Long past, I mean, the stats on how many kids compete in college versus high school and then on professional, it's exponentially less each time, obviously.
Not really.
Yeah, there's obviously there's only so many spots in pro football, for example. And so when you take the number of high school kids that are playing high school football, and then the ones that actually qualify to play college football is much smaller, and then it's even smaller still when they go to the professional level.
Ah,
So there's only so many spots. So you're a little fish in a very large pond when you're trying to be successful at professional sports and those types of traditional
yeah,
sports.
right.
It's the same thing for basketball and baseball. And then
And
so
concussions.
yes, exactly. And so I definitely I didn't want to deal with the concussions and the potential brain damage because all these studies are coming out now with all these long-term effects to all these professional athletes. So I definitely knew I wanted them in a sport. And so when they started, it was, 1 day a week, and then it was 2 days a week, and then it was 3 days a week, and then it was private lessons, and then it was competition. So there was a progression to get up to the level that we
Yeah.
are now, where they're considered, I guess, elite athletes. And they're essentially dancing 6 days a week most
Yeah,
days.
yes.
But also, I would say that at any given point in time, since day one, 9 years ago to now, every single one of them at some point in time has said, I don't want to dance anymore. I want to quit. But that's the advantage of being the parent and being older and wiser and having lived through more and having seen more is that my answer is no. Sorry, you're not quitting. Like, yes, today you don't feel like doing it. And yes, today sucked. You didn't want to get out of bed. You didn't want to go to the studio for 5 or 6 hours. You didn't want to have to do your homework when you got home late at night. That's all well and good. But 3 weeks from now, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad I'm at this competition. I'm so glad I'm with my friends." And so it's my job not to give in to every little whim that they have. If I let my kids run the show, there's plenty of stuff they wouldn't do, including homework, including going to school. They would just lay in the bed all the time watching
Yeah.
TV,
Right.
or on their devices and never leave the house and probably weigh 400 pounds. So I'm not interested in any of that. So I just don't give them the option. I said, "You're doing this all the way through high school. We'll have a conversation when you're closer to graduation and figure out what you're doing after that. But until then, you're gonna have to be there. Your brothers are gonna be there because it didn't always happen at the same time either."
Yeah, yes. Because I think
Frequently.
Connor was first,
Yeah.
who didn't want to do it, right?
Yes.
And then Jordan, I remember Jordan because he came to me
Yeah.
to talk to me
It
about
was late in the game.
in Bulgaria. Yes, he was
Yeah.
already. He told me that I'm doing the world championship and I'm done. I say, let's talk to your mom.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So, I mean, I consider their opinions and I try to make some sort of concessions. For example, Connor, he really, really enjoys playing soccer, football, European football,
Yeah,
American
yeah.
soccer. And so I try to make time for him to do that. So on days that he's not at the studio, even if his brothers are, I try to get him, some private coaching for soccer,
Yeah.
our goalie clinic.
Yes.
Over the summer when they did,
He went to a
6
camp.
weeks of dance camp, I let him do 1 week of soccer camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to keep it balanced with things that they've expressed a desire to do,
Yeah.
but also stay consistent with the dance. And he likes it. On any given day, he'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get in the studio. I can't wait to see my friends." And a lot of it is social.
It's a lot of social.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yesterday, Connor, by the way, was so brave.
Mhm.
Every time you're out of town,
Oh, I'm sure.
that guy is yes, very, very.
He has lots of strong opinions.
Yeah, his strong opinion about his hair.
Mm.
I have a lesson. I don't have time to do it. I said, huh.
I'm sure.
Okay, so the next question is, what did people say about 3 boys
Mhm.
doing dance? Did you have any negative comments from people? I think you probably don't hang out with this type of stupidity, but
Mhm.
just in general, have you heard any negative comments from people that you know that why dance? Yes.
Well, a lot of the biggest negative, I guess, type of question people ask me is, "What are they going to do with this?"
Mm.
I'm like, "Well, I don't know. What is your kid going to do with, playing football? Do you think he's going to be the next Tom Brady? Maybe he could be, but also the stats on that are, exponentially low. Like, there's only one Tom Brady, and
Yes.
there's a reason for that. But
There is
that's
3
kind of it.
Palmers.
Right. But also it's not just about the dance. It's what they're exposed to and it's presenting themselves. So we've been able to travel all around the world,
Yes, true.
all around the United States. My kids have spoken publicly at world
Yes.
championships, done the athlete's oath.
True.
They've danced in front of thousands of people that they've never seen before from all over the world, spectators and couples that they've competed against from all over the world. And they've been able to spend extra time before or after a competition in these extra
Exploring.
countries and cities, seeing things firsthand. So when they're learning about it in school, whether it's US history or world history, they're seeing all these things in person, and you can't replicate that. You
Yep.
can't learn it from just reading a history book. So the chances that or opportunities that dance has given them outside of the ballroom, and things that they can use in their life moving forward, like their ability to not be nervous in presenting themselves to other people is huge.
Yes.
And it's hard to teach those things to children without submerging, putting them into the situation.
Yeah, you're right. Because every time they they lose with a smile. And
Yes,
so whenever that's what I tell them, when you're gonna close deal on Wall Street, and
right,
if it's not gonna be closing, you know how to really
right,
bow and come back and
yeah.
win.
When realizing early on that everybody that participates doesn't win,
Yes,
that's an important lesson to learn as well, because you might be on top, and then you move age categories, for example, and then all of a sudden you're not
you're
on
the
top
last.
anymore.
Yes,
You're the youngest, you're the smallest, you're the
yes,
least experienced,
yes,
and you're competing with kids that are 2 years older than you. And so learning that is a huge life lesson that they can do with everything that they end up
yes.
doing
In
long
life
term.
in
Yeah,
general, right? No, it's because you're speaking as a businesswoman.
right.
Because
Hmm.
a lot of people they're not in business. They work for somebody. That's why they say where what they're gonna do with it. So
Right.
at least they can dance with a girl
That's true.
later on. All right. So next question. Travel and logistics. Because you are the number one mom in our team.
Mhm.
And we have a big team of the logistics. You are number one. Never late. Never not one time. But never, unless it's something like once a year traffic something, but never,
Right.
not one time. So always on time, always on point, always have everything you can think of. Leslie has scissors, grapes, cheese and wine, extra socks. I mean, everything at competition you always have. Tell me how to become a super mom, a supermodel, because I have two kids and with a big age difference. So now I'm going through this in the second time and I'm still messing up. But how do you do that? Because I think that this is very important for the parents to hear. Like Leslie's day, you wake up and what? You have a list of things to do. You plan it before. How do you do that?
Both. I do operate from lists because it helps me stay organized. But I think part of it's about priority. So the priorities in your life is where you spend your money and your time, is what I've always been told.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, as you go further and further into any sport, the money increases and the time and effort that you spend in something increases. So if I'm spending all this time and money, it only makes sense that when it's time for a competition or anything else, or getting my kids to their lesson on time, that has to be a priority, because that's where I'm spending my time and my money. That's where my children are spending their time, not yet their money, but
But they
it's
made
got to be a
yeah.
priority, and it's got to be important. And I think that's also a life lesson that you're teaching your children, of when something's a priority, this is what it looks like. This is how you make it consistent and intentional, and all those things that are important to anything that should be a priority in your life, whether it's family, work, a sport, it doesn't matter, any of it. But as far as getting places on time, a lot that's self-explanatory. But then having everything you need once you get there, that's been a lot of trial and error. So when we first started, I had no idea. Like, I remember when I first called about the Groupon, I was like, what did they even wear? And before I said they were all boys, the person who answered the phone was like, oh, they can wear a leotard and like ballet shoes. And I was like, oh, they're boys. And she was like, oh, they can just wear, black sweatshirt, black sweatpants. I was like, oh, okay. So it's been a lot of trial and error to get to this point, to have some like idea of what I even need to come prepared with. But yes, I operate from a list, and I know someone, even if not my children, are going to need Band-Aids at a competition. They're going to need Vaseline to make sure their shoes don't
Shoes
stick
that
together.
stick together.
You need a sewing kit, because they're always inevitably going to lose a button, or something's not going to fasten right, or the girl's strap's going to be broken and half her back is exposed. So through a lot of trial and error, I've made these lists, and then yes, they need energy, especially on an all-day competition when they're there all day. So, what type of snacks should I have for them that are gonna not be complete crap, but also like give them energy? And especially if it's a multi-day comp,
Yeah.
what do they need the night before? What do they need the morning of?
Yeah.
When to time the meals? And then with hair and makeup appointments, what time should they start getting ready? How early should
I
they be in the
remember you were
ballroom?
doing it yourself. Remember
Oh yeah,
the hair, and then we switched to
Mhm.
the with the level,
Yeah,
with the
with
level.
the level, but
It is okay.
also
It is okay to do it by yourself, I think,
it
at
is.
the beginning, and but then it has to be either the mom has to get the skill
Mhm.
of doing it, or the professional has to do it, in
Right.
my opinion.
But also, I got tired of looking at like crap at every single competition because you have to start if you're doing all three of your own children's hair and makeup, and they have to have full tan and everything else. You have to start at like 4 a.m.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't getting sleep, and I was like, you know what? They need the professional to do it, and I need the professional to do it. So at some point, we made that transition as well.
Yes. Okay. Question from the audience
Mhm.
is when you setting up your priorities,
Mhm.
uh, once priorities are set, how do you focus on only on one priority, or a little bit multitasking on everything else?
No, I have to multitask because I own my own businesses. It gives me a lot of flexibility,
Mm-hmm.
and I can do most of my work from anywhere in the world as long as there's a Wi-Fi connection. I can still be in business. So I have to balance being able to still work myself and still, make an income. I mean, someone's got to pay for dance. Come on.
Yeah.
So if I don't make that a priority, then we all suffer.
Yes.
So it's finding a balance between carving out time wherever we're at in the world to get the things done I need to get done, but also have my children where they need to be, when they need to be, prepared, ready with all the things.
All right. So, team discipline.
Hmm.
It says, how important is it, in your opinion, to follow the plan set by the coach and team? Or do you think sometimes it is okay to go your own way?
I think people are going to do whatever they want to do, and a lot of people think, "Oh, I know better than a coach," or "I think I can do this differently and do it better." But I'm not a coach. I have no ballroom dancing experience in my entire life, other than my children ballroom dancing, and so I've found at Volga a program with the head coach and owner that I trust. I see the results. I've seen people that thought, "Oh, I know how to do it better," and have left the studio and done their own thing. And I've always felt like there was a decrease in their child's performance and success after that. They might have spurts of very successful
Yes.
moments,
Yeah. Yes.
but in general, the consistency is not there.
Because
And
the
I feel
parent will have to become a manager
right.
and get into the ballroom world and know better, and it's not easy, because I feel it's my opinion, I
Mm.
feel like us coaches in the ballroom world, we don't really take parents seriously, because we know they're not the coaches, they're not the
Right.
judges. We take them, the people that leave and start hopping from place to place, they now become treated as a clients
Hmm.
versus as a team member. So
Right.
that's a very big difference, especially for post-Soviet Union
Hmm.
coaches, because once you are in a team, once you're in a family, we treat you like my own.
Right.
But once you start hopping, the respect is going fading away.
Right.
So,
But also,
but some
like,
people, I think, they feel like they are successful in it, but they do pay the price
right. I agree.
for that.
But also, I would say, like, obviously, you're the head coach,
Mhm.
but it's not just about you physically coaching each of the children.
No,
It is about your
team.
experience and your network of people that you need to bring in. So at different points in time, since the boys have been dancing for 9 years, you bring very strategically, like bring in the right coaches, bring in the right guest coaches, bring in the right camps and workshops for the kids to
Hmm.
do. And I think so much of that is lost when you're independent and when you're trying to do everything yourself, because you've been doing this for years, way before my
Yeah,
children started
because
dancing. We've
you're
got all these
confused. If you
connections
don't
and
know the
knowledge.
connections, you are confused. You
Right.
do not know where you're going.
Yeah.
And then usually people end up hopping from place to place, or trying to do everything and everybody.
Mhm.
And then I don't know if it's a good idea, but yes, we build strategics based on the federation we dance in, the goals, the long-term goals. We had a time when we wanted to be on every, not on every, but on most of the world championships. So the
Right.
kids can have those, the paperwork from the world championship, and they can apply it in college, and it will help them, because it does help. Even though some people say it doesn't, it really does, because it does. If the child went to world championship, he has a lot more chances to
Right.
get into college smoothly versus what did you do? Well, I was doing TikToks.
Mhm. Well, when you're comparing 2 candidates for a college and one of them has world championships on their resume, I've gotta imagine that's the deciding factor,
I
you
think so.
know?
I think so. Yes. All right. So you say that you think. Tell me about the discipline. Tell me about the Russian discipline. How do you feel? Do you think it's from being American,
Mhm.
hanging out for 9 years with Russian speaking team, when and with the harsh discipline? How does it feel?
Well, I knew going into it, that I grew up watching the Olympics, and so I saw a lot of Olympic figure skaters, a lot of, Olympic gymnasts, and they would have sometimes before cable really got big, or certainly before the internet, they would have these documentaries where they would show, like, the coaching and the training of these Olympic athletes, and, so I knew that that was out there, and a lot of those are, like, Eastern European coaches, and it's hardcore. And, like, I was watching, I was like, "Oh, man, that is it. That is, like, they
So
are
you
no
got it.
nonsense. That is, like, hard, like, badass, like, that is where it's at." Like, there's 2 types of kids that I would think dance. There's ones that they're just here because their parents want them to have exercise. They wanna have fun. They wanna
Yeah.
have a group of friends outside of school, and that's great. And I think that our studio, as well as others, can cater to that. That's one section.
We try.
Right. That because you can't make people want it, right?
Yeah.
And you can't make people want to be at that level. So if all they wanna do is hang out and have fun and learn some basic dance steps, that's great for some people. But I knew going into it, at least for me, like, my kids were super little, like, they don't know what they want. If I let them decide they'll have macaroni and cheese for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and never eat anything else except for maybe donuts, like, you don't let a 6-year-old decide, all these
Yes.
things. They're children. So I knew going into it, I didn't wanna just do it for fun. My life is busy enough, I don't have time to just have my kids do stuff consistently multiple days a week that's just for fun. Like, we'll have those moments, but I just don't have time to commit to it at that level. So I knew going into it, I was looking for a studio that I felt like mimicked what I had seen on with these Olympic
So
coaches.
you had an idea.
Yes, and then, whatever you had going on your website at the time, I just remember it said, "Where champions are made," and I
Yeah.
thought, "That's what I want." Like, I wanna go to take my children to a studio that's no nonsense, like, I can be the kind, sweet, sensitive mom at home, and then the coaches can be badass and
Yeah.
hard on them and
Should be
teach them
harsh.
discipline. Yes, because if you let them, they will get away with doing as little as possible. That's what I feel like in general with all
Always.
kids.
Any child.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Any
If you
child.
set the expectation here, they will meet it. If you set it here, they will keep striving towards it. The higher the bar is set, the higher chance they have of getting anywhere close to it. So I wanted the bar to be set high. I wanted no nonsense. I wanted someone that could make my kids a champion. If they had any ounce of a natural talent as well as work ethic to get there, I wanted a team of coaches in a studio that would,
To push it.
yes, that would help them achieve that.
Yes.
And
Okay.
maybe they weren't good enough, and that's fine, but at least the coaching would be there
No,
to
but
support whatever they had inside of
yes,
them.
yes. And I remember when we were training them when they were young, they were so cute and they were so nice. They're still nice. Just three good looking, nice boys, but we have to make them a machine, an animal, and like, come on, давай, let's do it.
Right?
Like just stay in there.
Like, yes.
Look,
Yeah.
we're still experiencing it today.
Yeah.
When they're so nice
Mhm.
and polite that they don't even push anybody on the dance floor and let people go through and everything else. But we're working on it.
Yeah.
So okay, so three boys, three different characters, three different staminas, three different physical abilities, I would say. Um, very talented bodies for all three of them, soft and everything. But the results for them are totally, it's a big range in the
Right.
results. They compete against each other only when they compete against really each other.
Right.
But when they come on the floor with other couples, they have people in between them, so the
Sure.
results are usually not the same but kind of the same, and it's a gaps between Jordan and Connor and Mason.
Right.
So tell me why, what your thoughts, what do you think it is?
Well, so I think part of it was, historically speaking, we've done a vast variety of competitions. Some super small, where it was literally Connor versus Jordan versus Mason. Some that were kind of medium sized that had, at least 3 other couples, and then some really, really large one. So if it's just you and your siblings competing against each other and you're third place, you're also last. Whereas if you're third place and you're first, second, and third out of 30 couples, that's outstanding. Like, it's amazing. It's a whole different feeling than I'm third place out of 3 versus
Yes.
I'm third place out of
Yes.
20. And so early on, it was kind of interchangeable. Each of them would kind of rotate around who was first, second, and third for standard Latin back when they were walking in a square. Not much going on. Super, beginner level bronze routines. And so then as it evolved, part of that I think had to do with their partners at the time, because none of them have had the same partner since day one.
Yes.
All 3 of them have had multiple partners, some much larger spans of time than others, but it's a partnership sport. So even if I'm like, let's go be at the studio 7 days a week, let's go to 3 competitions a month, let's travel internationally, let's do training internationally. That's all well and good. But if my kid's the only one who shows up, it's not great,
Of course, yes,
Like,
of course.
you have to have the same level of commitment from the partner. And that's something that's obviously hard to
that's
find. That's what
hard,
you're
right?
constantly juggling
Yes.
and trying to find the balance.
I'm the manager of the
Right.
of women.
Yes. So you're finding the exact right partnership where they're at the same level of
Yes.
desire, the same level of ability and desire to put in the work.
Financial.
Yes. Yeah. It's a big financial commitment and time commitment. And I get it. It's a sacrifice. Like, a lot of people can't do it, or they're not willing to rearrange other priorities to make that a priority
Yes.
and do it. And so part of it, I feel like, has been at different points in times who their partner was and the amount of ability that the other partner had, or the desire to compete at a certain level. So even if they weren't like, I just want my kids here for the social experience and for fun, maybe they weren't at the, oh, if this was an Olympic sport, I want my child to be an Olympic
That's the
athlete.
problem, because I want,
Right.
and well, you have to be here 8 days a week.
Right.
Well, that's not what we want to do.
Right. But what I have noticed, no matter what level they were, back when they were closed routines versus open routines, novice versus pre-champ, there's a direct correlation between the number of hours and the time that my child and their partner would spend in the studio and at competitions and the results. So historically speaking, and I'm not just speaking about like the partnership now, but throughout the time at dance, Connor has had exponentially less lessons than Mason or Jordan.
Yes, true.
Like, if you tally them all up for all 9 years, there's a massive discrepancy between what Connor had versus Jordan versus Mason. Jordan, hands down, has had the most private lessons, the most group lessons, the most
competition experience. Yes.
Competitions across the board. And there's a direct correlation in their progression, the speed of their progression, the performance, their placement, all of it. And so to me, that's
your
not a
numbers
surprise.
are based on your stats.
Yes,
Yes,
100%.
it's not something that I feel like.
Right. And it's not
Me and the feelings again.
right. There's no feelings involved with it. There is a mathematically,
Yes.
statistically speaking, a direct correlation between the number of hours, the amount of training, and the results. And I don't think that Jordan, for example, is necessarily has that much more God-given talent than the other 2. Do I think he has a very strong work ethic himself? Absolutely, hands down. He has gone to the front desk so many times and asked for extra lessons.
Yes.
He was like, I need to work on a couple things. Can I have just a solo lesson, just myself with Miss Katrina?
True.
Can I have a lesson with Mr. Filippo, just myself?
Meanwhile, Connor is in the changing room.
Connor's like, what time what time can I leave today? So part of it also comes from the child's inner desire. So Jordan, hands down, has definitely been the most vocal and the most proactive about getting extra time and doing the things he needs, beyond him and his partners historically having more time.
But Jordan is the one who's teaching now as well.
Correct. Yes.
Making money.
Yes. And Mason's somewhere in between. He is the least likely to complain ever about any number of lessons that he is scheduled for, or attending competitions or attending camps. like, I can count on one hand the number of times he's complained or ever said, I don't want to do this anymore. He's just not that kid. He wants to be the best, and he wants to work really hard, and he wants to try to make that happen. But he also is a pleaser. Like, I remember he came home from kindergarten and he was just in tears, and the teacher called me and she's like, Leslie, I'm so sorry. Mason always volunteers to be my helper. He wants to like lead the line, and he wants to erase the dry erase board, and he wants to pass out snacks, but I have to let other kids do it. And she was like, he was in tears today because he didn't get chosen to be my helper, but I've chosen him like 4 times out of the last week. So I had to give another kid a chance. But he wants to make people proud. He wants to meet the expectations that people set for him. So he's the least likely to complain, but he's not as vocal as Jordan is about asking for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So straight data, straight numbers, no feelings. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So competition is a stress or adrenaline? How do you like it as a mom?
I have zero stress at competitions.
Really?
Unless something gets messed up with like a hair appointment.
Yeah.
Or if most recently they have all new clothes, and they're competing 2 days in a row, and they went through all the clean clothes the very first day. I'm like, well, that sucks. So I'm punting at like 1 a.m. trying to figure out how to wash these clothes and get them dry by the next day so there's not tan and sweat and everything else all over them. So those moments are stressful. But in general, I don't ever have any stress or anxiety or any
So
of
for
those
you,
kind
it's
of
more
things.
like fun event.
Yes, and there's adrenaline involved, but I've always told the boys, like, I really don't care where you place. Of course, I would love first place for all of my children. I would love it
Yes,
if you're all in different categories and everyone gets first place and we take the podium every time. That's outstanding. But in general, my expectation, and this is what I tell them I will get pissed off about, is every single time they compete, they should be better than they were the last time. I don't care if it's 2 consecutive weekends in a row.
Yeah.
You've had 6 lessons or 9 lessons or 15 lessons since then. What have you gotten out of those lessons? So I don't care if you were robbed or if you deserve the placement you got. That's all well and good. That's someone's. It's not like a sport where you clearly see the football go through the goalpost.
Yes, correct.
It's not that. It's subjective. So if a judge didn't see you when you were doing your amazing move, or if they only saw you when you made a mistake, then you might not get the placement that you think is fair. So I recognize that that's subjective. And while I would love them to always get first place, I realize that's not realistic at all whatsoever.
That's 1 first, 1 second, 1 third.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which would be ideal, but that doesn't consistently happen either. But what I do expect is that every time they get on that floor, they're better than the last time that they were, and they do their entire best. They leave it all on the dance floor. They give 100% effort. I don't expect to put my life aside and work from my laptop in the middle of, the airport waiting area, or from some hotel room working on my lap, propped up on pillows, so that they can get out there and just kind of walk through the motions. Like, my expectation is
Work
they're
hard.
there and they give it 100% every time they're on the floor. And that goes not just when they're dancing, but leading up to it. When I tell them it's time to go to bed, when I tell them they have to get sleep, when I tell them they need to drink water, that you're going to be dehydrated, you're not going to be able to dance. Like all those things. I expect them to do the things they know they're supposed to do and give it 100% when they're dancing, and do better than they did the last time. As long as that happens, I don't care where they place. Because I don't want them to feel like they're disappointing me because of placement. Because I really don't care. I want,
But you're there to work.
right.
It's like exam. You
That's
come
their
there
job.
to do. It's a job that you have to perform. I always, on my end, I tell them that if you're a surgeon and you open up and do performing a heart surgery,
Right.
you open up a patient, and
Right.
you're like, today, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't want that surgeon on their off day.
exactly.
Yes. You want them at their best every single time.
Yes, exactly. And so you do everything that you can possibly do to be at your best to perform that surgery.
Exactly.
So, but I think the kids, being kids, not only your kids, that everybody in our team, when they come to competition, they feel most of the times, they feel like it's a social party,
Mm.
and they're hanging out, and they just like, I finished dance and I have to leave. And when we go to, for example, competitions where it's a lot of people from heritage, the Italians or like Europeans, European couples, they stay at a competition. They come there always put hair done.
Right.
They watch it to the last beat, right? They come down and take pictures with the champions. Our kids doing what? Gone by that time. So it is definitely different mentality in a society. And when we, like I said before, when we face living in Atlanta, it's kind of like away from the center of everything. When we face in the real deal, this is when we feel like we are a little weak, a little bit not enough of this, of that. And so this is when we try to push them. But as a coaches, we feel like the parents in our team resisted. Oh, but they have to love it. No, they don't. They don't have to love it. It's a job. It's a professional sport. It's a job. If they have to love it, it has to be a social group.
Right.
You know, but
Yeah.
we really, to be honest with you guys, we're not really good at social groups.
Right.
We're not good at all. We tried many times, right? But what happens is the people from the outside, they come. They want to be a part of something beautiful and sparkling and social. We put them all in a group, and then they look at your kids and they say, "Oh my God, I want that. I want to wear the dress like she wears, or like the tail suit. I want this." Oh, okay. So he does A, B, C, D, and that's what you have to do. Okay, deal. 2 months into it, I'm so tired.
Right.
I'm tired. I cannot be here 5 days a week. 5, you need to be here 7 days a week.
Right.
You know, so 6 days you work, 1 day you rest, like God promised, ask us to do. So 5 days a week you cannot, so you shouldn't belong to this group. But we want to, and it's constant fight on our end. When all I do is I talk to parents about, you have to be here. There is no magic gonna happen.
Right.
And sometimes parents tell me, "What do you want? You have top couples." I say, "Well, don't you want to be top coupled?"
Right.
And that doesn't fit my mind, because how can you then want to be better?
Right.
That's what, like, so just because you're tired, you're not gonna bring him because you're tired, because you have a lot going on. Like, what can be more? So we have all these jokes, right? And it's when I say you have to love ballroom dancing, what can be more important than me and my schedule? You know, like things like that. But when we get to competition, this is when things happen, and then this is when the child doesn't make it to final or semifinal, and I look at them and say, "Remember, you were tired."
Yeah.
So, but that's why I asked you to do a podcast, because you never tired. So I want to know the secret. What is driving you? What is your driving source, Leslie?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of people in life in general that they want these grand things. They want excellence. They want lots of money. They want this promotion. They want whatever it is in their life they want. But very few people, when it comes down to doing the work and the steps to get there, are willing to put in that work. They want this amazing thing that's high and super, amazing out there that they want to achieve, but they're not willing to do the work to get there. But I recognized early on, and part of it's the way my parents just raised me, is that the only way to get that is by hard work. Like, very few people, it's like, "Oh, I won the lottery. Now I'm a millionaire." Like, you have to work to get there. Again, there's stats that support, like, the percentage of the population that happens to. It doesn't happen, The chances you could get struck by lightning before that would happen to you. So, I think people underestimate, just in general, but especially in ballroom, the amount of work and time that has to go into it to get anywhere close to achieving outstanding results. Especially the higher the level and the higher the age group.
Yes.
I mean, it's
It's
just
gonna
get
get
harder
more
and harder.
expensive and more harder with more time.
Yes.
And it includes dropping school, not drop school, but go to homeschool, because of the system in America works that way.
Right.
Kids spend a lot of time in school, and I do have my own opinion about it, but I'm not going to go with it.
Well, I would say, though, that my kids were in traditional in-person school all through elementary school up to the end of 4th grade. And then COVID happened, and then everyone went online for a period of time. And at that point was right when my kids started dancing open routines, and they started traveling more for competitions. And I just realized, hey, just like I can work from anywhere,
They can do
my kids can do school from anywhere, and it would open up the possibilities of where we could go, what we could do, competitions and training we could do. And so for me, it was a really great fit, and I chose to keep my kids in online school because it gave them the flexibility to do all the things we wanted to do with dance, and do all the travel that you can get to do with dance, and compete and train everywhere around the world, as well as get your education at the same time. And I will say, I do a decent amount of even though it's not homeschooling. They have teachers, they have live lessons, they
They
have
have help,
instructors.
yes.
I spend a decent amount of time also being like a tutor and working through homework with them, helping them study for upcoming tests, things like that. So it's again more responsibility on my plate, but it's important to me. Like I
But
said before, the experience.
that's the whole point, the
Yes.
responsibility. You just
Mhm.
want to take the responsibility of being here on time, doing the homework, making sure that they have black socks, not
Mhm.
white.
Right.
Bec-
And
that's
then they're not short and you don't see 4 inches of ankle.
we had it. I think when they were really young, you brought them in and they had white socks. We only told you one time we need a long black socks. From that point on, I think you threw all the white socks away
Yep.
from your house,
Like
and
they
that's it.
have those long black socks.
But yeah, but this is I would say this is what we expecting from every
Mm,
parent, but within reality, our reality, this is very impressive what you do because it's never a dull moment with you. If it's said, it's done.
mhm,
It's not something that oh maybe I don't think let's change.
mhm.
You have three boys, all three of them taking a lot of hours, lessons in here and spend a lot of hours. You haven't changed it once.
Mhm.
You only change in lessons the times because they
Right,
travel or because of something that is going on in the studio.
right.
And it seems to me like you know what you're gonna do for Christmas on what days.
Mhm.
When you do not want to be in the studio, you know all those things like at least 6 months ahead.
Right,
In January of 26, I do not want to be in the studio for 3 days.
right.
So those are 3 days I'm not gonna show up. Let's
Mhm.
reschedule.
Right.
But it's always in advance. It's never a last moment. And sometimes we have people that they, consistently change. Just a habit of changing
Mhm.
things. And of course, we don't like that, but we have to kind of deal with that.
Right.
All right. So another question I had, and we're very close to be done. Another question I had is, how do you, um, how do you deal with three female partners?
Mhm.
Because we had a class yesterday and your boys are helping two other girls with the showcase.
Mhm.
And the girls, I asked the girls, I said, did you set it up? And both of them, they have ideas, very good
Mhm.
girls, everything is planned. And they say, who should we talk to? I say, you don't talk to me, don't talk to anybody, go straight to Leslie, she will set it up with you, and that will be it. So those girls, they never deal with you before, so
Right.
they were like, really, you sending me to a parent, because I never do that.
Mhm.
uh, Another thing is, for example, lessons that the girls want to add or reschedule, they come to you.
Mm.
Competition registrations,
Mhm.
it's much faster when you do it for all three boys
Sure.
than somebody else, right? So
Mhm.
how do you manage others? That's my real question, because you have three different partners, more partners throughout the life, but three different partners,
Mhm.
three different families, three different moms, three different girls,
Mhm.
and they all come to you. And so how do you manage them?
Well, I think part of it is just knowing, like figuring them out and knowing how to psychologically approach them. So I know, for example, there's one partner whose parents, I know if I approach it a certain way, we will get the lessons rescheduled. We'll get them on the calendar. But if it's too much at once, it's like overwhelming and it's shut down. It's like we can't do any of this.
Uh-huh.
And so I know if I piecemeal it and I say, okay, for this one day, can we do it on this day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looks like the schedule's open. Can you check on that? Once we get that done, then I know, okay, I can approach the next one. And that same partner is not the best at planning out long term.
Long term,
So
yeah.
I know if
Right,
I'm
yeah.
trying to plan things for March, for example,
Yeah.
that person's not there yet. They are not. They're like thinking October. They're not quite to November yet. And I know if I start talking about March, and let's go ahead and
But
start
you and
thinking
I
about
would like
that.
to plan
Yes.
2027.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yes. So, and we've had conversations like, what are we going to do after their senior year? Like, what is
We like to
looking
plan the
ahead?
life, right?
Yes,
So then you can live the life you want.
exactly. I'm not a very fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. Like the way that I keep it all organized is by planning in advance. Like I have a checklist. Have I registered for that competition? Have I booked hair and
And
makeup
you stick to
appointments?
it.
Have
A
I
lot
done
of
my
people
flight?
plan and they don't stick to it.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
can plan all day long,
Right.
but if we don't stick to it, so
Right.
how do you give us an advice? How do you stick to it? Like you planned it,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have to go there. Parents, listen.
Yes.
How do you do?
Well, the challenge is, like I said before, it's a partnership sport. So it doesn't matter if I'm like, okay, we planned it, I'm sticking to it. Life happens, and there are things that come up at the last minute, like a family member passes away, and I
Not
get it.
every
You want
day,
to be
though.
at that funeral, right? You only have so many grandparents. If all 4 of them are gone, those are no longer excuses. So, and I'm not saying they're excuses. I love my grandparents, and I understand their role in everyone's lives can be super massive, and I'm not discounting that. I'm kind of making a joke, but it has to be a priority. And so again, you can't force other people to stick with it, but you can let them know your expectations. So there have been times, like I'm very conflict averse. I don't
You
like
don't like to argue.
I do not. I do not like to not be on the same page. I don't like to feel like there's any kind of animosity between me or someone else. But there have been times where I'm like, we need to have a conversation. Like this, at this point, you're taking advantage of my time and my kindness and my flexibility and my willingness to go above and beyond and make whatever needs to happen happen. And I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, and we need to get on the same page because if we're not, it's going to be impossible for the kids to be on the same page. Because the parents really have to work together. It's not just a partnership with the 2 people dancing.
But do you
It's a
think
partnership
parents
with the
have to
parents.
like each other, or they have to more work together?
Liking each other's nice. It
Nice.
sure makes competitions a whole lot more fun. But no, I don't think they have to like each other. They have to respect each other. They have to respect each other's
Time.
limitations, their financial limitations, their time restrictions, and everything else. But there's ways to work around it. Like frequently, with all 3 of my children's partners, we're like, in general, we take our kids to and from lessons. But there are times where other things happen for the parents, and we're like, hey, can you bring Mason home today? Sure. Hey,
So
can
you
pick up
you
Scott
help
today?
each other.
We help each other out, and I think the biggest thing is being respectful of one another's time and the energy and the effort that it takes. And when there is a problem, very respectfully addressing that problem and having a conversation. Don't let it build up to a point where it's like a deal
People
breaker
argue.
and it causes problems with the children. And the partners dancing together, or between you and the children, or you and the parent.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you have to be very mature adults and treat it like it's a business partnership.
It is.
And you have to work together. And when things aren't going the way that one person expects, they need to have a conversation, an honest conversation that's still respectful, and figure out how
do
to
you
make
think
it
that
better.
this is how children are learning to be in kind of business relationship when they dance together, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They build this business relationship in between 2 of them
Mhm.
and then they gone in the world, and then, for example, Natasha now knows how to talk to a guy and put him back in place, or
Right.
get what she needs, or put herself together,
Right.
and present. So I think it's very important
Mhm.
skill, not only for kids to learn this.
Mhm.
If the parents don't have that business relationship thing,
Right.
it's fine. They can learn it here too,
Mhm.
right? This can be a
Yeah.
very nice lesson. So the last
Can I go back and say one more
yes,
thing?
I'm sorry.
So I know in general, people have made comments to me over the years. A lot of people aren't even here anymore. Have said, "Oh, Leslie, you give all of us a bad reputation because you always say yes to everything."
Oh,
And they said, so we feel bad when we say no to stuff. Like I'm sure Leslie's saying yes to this. Let me just go on the record and say I don't always say yes.
no.
There are a handful of times throughout these 9 years that when you've said the kids need to do this or this or this, I'm like, I want to talk to her more about that. I want to understand where
Why
she's
are we
coming
doing
from.
this?
Yes.
No, but
In general, yeah.
I don't remember. Like I don't know about yes or no,
Right.
but I do not remember us, me and you, having an argument about yes, no.
No,
Yes,
absolutely no
no,
argument.
absolutely no. Why absolutely no? Like I just don't feel like it. It
Right.
was if when it was a no, it was a reasonable no,
Mhm.
and then you tell me we cannot do this. I'm not gonna do this because of,
Mhm.
and then I understand that.
Right.
And we set our priorities of where we want to go this year,
Right.
what we want to do this year, and that's pretty. And I think that's
But I
great
think
too.
one of the reasons that the boys have had longevity, much more so than a lot of the other couples that have come in and out of the studio since we've been here, is because I do trust you implicitly. Like, I trust your guidance and your judgment and your program and the coaches that you bring on board and the experiences and the competitions that you want the kids to be in front of. So in general, my natural instinct just be like, yes, whatever she says, we're doing it. But that doesn't mean that I'm just like over here, like nothing's happening. Like I don't know what my kids are doing.
Yeah,
Like I'm
no,
still
no,
very
of
involved and
course.
engaged,
You are.
but I don't want to interfere with that process. So on the handful of times I'm like, I would like a little more information about that. We just have a conversation.
Yes, we
It doesn't have to be some crazy thing. It can be, Katrina, can I talk to you about this? And you're like,
Yeah.
sure. We talk about it. And we're like, got it. Okay, that's what we're doing. I
We did
understand.
or not, yes, yes.
Right, but
That's not Leslie doesn't say yes to everything. It's just
most things.
no,
Not
but I
everything.
mean I don't offer nonsense.
Right,
You
exactly.
know, so
Right, but I think that transfers over into the kids too. I
of course.
I think that the
Connor, can you help me? Yes.
yes, of course.
What do
His
you need
answer should
help
always
with?
be yes.
Yes. But the when we have a families that sometimes people just like to complain
Right.
about everything.
Mhm.
The floor is not slippery enough or sticky or the weather is, but just people like to complain.
Sure.
And sometimes people, the moms especially, sometimes they put their feelings ahead of the plan, ahead of the game, ahead of everything. It's all about how I feel.
Right.
My
That's the
feelings are the
emotion.
most important, yes, and I understand that. But being a leader, you cannot let emotions
Right.
take over
Mhm.
because
When you have to trust the coaches.
I'm not a psychologist, so I cannot rely on how you feel today to make my plan for the day, because I do have a plan for a child, for a couple, and I stick to it, and this is where we go. And I want my child to produce and do better versus not. So I cannot rely on somebody's emotions.
Right.
I cannot rely on mine.
Yes.
And sometimes I have emotions too,
Mhm.
and negative and positive emotions. And when I have negative emotions, I rather stay home and don't show up, you know.
Right.
So or I'll show up and
Right.
but the emotions are not good in here
Agreed.
because it's a strictly business that we go in, because I want people to understand that we are raising the future.
Right.
We are raising the generation here. And I want them to be successful. And then if somebody gave up on them, it doesn't mean that I did.
Right.
So the tired parent can happen sometimes, but not all the time, because guess what? The child is getting tired as well.
Right. But I think when people respond and react emotionally, whether it's in business or dance or their personal life, I think it's usually a very bad result.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you've got to, if you recognize yourself getting emotional and wanting to react emotionally, remove yourself from the
Step out.
situation.
Right now, yes.
Take a minute.
Step out, take a minute.
Yes, because you can't take it back. And then once that ball's in motion and you've made decisions when you were emotionally worked up about something, it typically, no matter what part of your life it's in, it doesn't end well. Like,
I agree. And he asked me, the audience, question from the audience.
okay.
Well, the question was about you. Why would you let your children go with me to other places? But you travel all the time. I don't let her out. She needs to stay with me all the time. And I'm sorry, she has to go. She's the most organized person. But yes, I do take other people, children, to other different countries, places, and all over the world. I do, and they let me, and we sign the papers and we go. I mean, they trust me with their kids, but some parents, they don't trust either me, or they say she wouldn't go without me. And I think this is
Some of that is
edgy.
just getting their child out of their comfort zone. It's like when people have small children and they don't want to have them have babysitters ever. And I'm like, well, how are they ever going to get used to being around other people and being,
No, they have to be around people, because people
Yes.
have everything they want.
But I think in
So-
general, I've seen when children have traveled with you, from young children all the way through
Yeah.
high school and college age children, a lot of them act completely different when
Yes.
their parents aren't around. And so I feel like their parents, when they're at the competition with them, are a hindrance because they do all this clingy, like, let me hang on your leg and not get out on the dance floor. And oh my gosh, I'm so shy, and just turn into this different person. But when their parents aren't there and you're there in your care, they know that, you're here to work. They're here to dance. They're here for competition. And so the results like show that their response shows that they're not
Yes.
clinging to your legs saying, "Oh, Miss Katrina, I don't feel like
No, no,
I'm
no, no.
scared.
They don't.
I have anxiety." Like they just get out there and do what you ask them to do.
Yes.
With my children, I think one of the reasons I've been successful with traveling with them and occasionally, but not typically sending them just with
With
you,
somebody else.
is because they know if they come to me and want to whine and complain, I'm going to say, get your butt out there and do what Miss Katrina is asking you to do.
Yes,
Like, I will
yes.
leave the ballroom.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna coddle you.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
You're here for a
That's true.
reason.
Even
So
even when Leslie's kids want to scratch the entrance,
like, you're not scratching.
I'm so tired. I can't dance anymore. And you're not scratching. Go back.
Or like, I need to throw up. Okay, throw up and get out there and dance.
Yes, yes.
Do I get to stop being a mom because I have a head cold or because I'm vomiting? No. You still need to eat. You still have to do your homework, especially when they were little. Like,
Yeah,
moms don't get
the
to take
diaper.
off.
You remember the diaper explanation? Do you think
Oh,
just because I was sick, I didn't change your diapers?
exactly. Like, moms don't get to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, kids, you can sit in your poo for 2 days because I feel bad." No, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. When you're a mom, you still have to change your infant's
Yes.
diapers, you still have to feed them, so they still have to dance. Like, that's the whole point of being here. You're not here to scratch. You could have stayed home and saved me a lot of time and money.
Yeah.
I didn't need to book a flight for you to scratch.
Yeah.
But you're here. Get your butt out there and do your
That's
dancing.
that's so true.
Come on.
Tell me this. So ballroom dancing for children in general.
Mhm.
What are the pluses of? Do you find what are the pros and cons
Mhm.
of ballroom dancing for at least for your sons?
Yes. Well, I would say it keeps them physically very fit. It keeps them physically active. It teaches them coordination, flexibility, which part of that, like, they either have a lot of that internally and physically that comes with them. But even for kids who aren't very flexible and things like that, it increases their mobility, their flexibility. And I think that all that physical activity also helps their brain work better. So kids with ADD or ADHD, both my stepson, my husband, and probably at least one of the 3 boys, even though I've never had them tested, have, very hyperactive or very easily distracted personalities. And I think physically getting all that exercise helps them focus before or after. When they're trying to focus on doing anything, whether it's schoolwork or building a Lego set or anything else that requires your brain to be calm and focused, I think it helps focus them. I think it gets all their nervous energy out. And I think all the physical activity only helps all areas of their life. And then in addition to like learning how to be around girls without it being weird,
Yeah.
without being like, I went to middle school and high school dances, and the guys are lined up on one wall and the girls are lined up on another wall. It's so stupid. I mean, occasionally they would get out there when there was a slow dance and they'd dance, or we learn line dances and we do the electric slide and those kind of things. But in general, like knowing how to touch a boy or a girl, depending on which one you are, the opposite sex, and it not being weird or uncomfortable or having to be sexual, and just being able to do it very naturally
Confident.
and with confidence. Yes, I think those are all great skills to learn. And you have to learn how to communicate. So I think so many relationships as adults are not successful because they don't know how to communicate. And the communication was never built. But because it's a partnership sport, it's not like a team sport where you might not like a couple of people on the team, but you can hang out with the rest of them and you can communicate with them. It's a partnership sport. And so you have to learn how to communicate with people. And the fact that each of the boys have had different dance partners and they've had completely different personalities, and completely different, demands from their partners at different times. And they've had partners that were older than them and partners that are younger than them. And when the kids start, going through puberty and like all these hormones and emotions are going crazy, learning to deal with that at each level, both older and younger, as well as like, preteen versus teenage years. Those are all great life lessons. And I think it's only going to prepare them for the workforce and what they do, after high school and whatever they do after high school, as well as just in their adult relationships, whether it's with their friends or with significant others.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. I think it translates into all that, and learning those skills as a child when it's easier and not so much as writing on it, I think is just super impactful for their life. Because hopefully they'll be able to deal with all different kinds of people. They'll learn how to psychologically approach different things. To like, I always try to think, especially with business, like 3 steps ahead. Like, what is the result that I want? What do I know about this person? And how can I approach the situation to get the result that I want?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not manipulative. It's just being strategic, because I know, like I gave the example before, there's people that I deal with. If I give them too much at once,
Yes.
it's overwhelming. They're not going to get it. But I know if I do it step by step, and we need to get to this point, as long as I give them every step, we will get there.
Mm-hmm.
There's other people that can't be bothered. They're like, I don't need you to tell me every step. I don't have time for this. Tell me where we need to get, and I'll get there. And so I know I need to approach those people 2 different ways. But the boys are learning that with their partners. They're learning that with dealing with coaches, because they're surrounded by adults
Yeah.
as well, not just their peers. And so in a typical like classroom at school, you're dealing with teachers, but you're not having constant dialogue.
Yes. Yes.
You're not
Yes.
one-on-one following directions from that teacher, typically. And so to have learning how to speak to adults that are not your peers, that are, your superiors, and following those directions, knowing when to push back and how to push back, or ask questions when you're unclear on something, versus just not doing what you're asked to do. Like,
Yes.
those are all super important skills. And they've learned that by doing this for the last 9 years, how to deal with people their age
Yes.
and adults. And I think it'll serve them really well for the rest of their lives. Like, I think
I
it'll
think so too.
be great skill sets that they can take and apply to all areas of their life.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the last one,
Mhm.
advice to parents
Mhm.
that come to Volga Dance Academy. What to expect?
Well, I would say they need to be honest with themselves.
Or maybe just in general for the
Yeah.
parents.
I think you have to start by being honest with yourself. I think if your expectation is that your child's going to be an elite athlete and they're going to perform at the like Olympic level, you need to ask the coach, like, what does that take? And see, is that something that we can do, or something we want to do, or something we want to commit ourselves to? Or be honest and say, no, I really just want my kids to have some fun, have some exercise, learn the basics of how to dance. But if they see the older kids, and the ones that are traveling internationally and training internationally, and they say that's what they want, they need to be realistic and understand what it takes to get there, because it is a lot of time, it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of sacrifice. And if you want to and you're able to do it, then it's a great plan. And you can work with the coaches and trust the coaches.
Yes.
And so even if you really like your partners, we've had partners in the past that I really, really like, but when the coach says we need to change the partnership, I mean, you can ask questions, but in general, the coaches know what they're doing. There's a reason behind it.
Well,
And there's a
we know
strategy.
why we want to change it. We
Right.
explain why, right?
Right.
So, like, I hope it makes sense.
Right.
At least
Exactly.
not just because I feel like it.
Right. Or because this person pissed me off.
No.
No,
Never.
there's a strategy.
Yes.
It's that thinking 6 months ahead,
Yes.
thinking a year ahead.
Yes.
And be realistic with the turnaround of expectations. When I first enrolled the boys in ballroom dancing, I thought it was going to look like it did on TV. And then I show it the first time they're doing this, and I'm like, what is happening? What polka's not even on Dancing with the Stars? And then they started the waltz, and they're like walking in a square. I'm like, what is this? Where's this, like, all this stuff? I'm like, none of this is happening. And then I could see, though, I would see at the studio, I would see the kids, my kids' age that were just starting, and then I would see the older kids, and then I would see the high schoolers. And I'm like, oh, it's a process. Like, you have to understand your
You have
kids aren't
to
going to be here for a
process,
month
yes.
and then look like, the professionals. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
So understand and trusting that process, and like, yes, your child's going to start here, and they're going to be doing the polka claps, and they're
But
going to
you
be
see, it's just like building the muscle. You can't go to the gym once a day,
Right.
once a week, and then expect your
Yeah.
body to be a Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
It's just not
exactly.
gonna happen.
Yeah, no, it's a process, and there's lots of steps. And having taken one ballroom dancing class myself, I can tell you, it's a lot to think about. Like, I understand why they start just walking in a square, because you have to think about your feet. You have to think
Even
about
though
your
you had
hands.
experience
Yes.
for cheerleading and everything.
Yes. So I've done like
Things, yeah.
choreographed routines and stuff like that before. But it's just like when I started Pilates, like, there is so much to think about. I'm like, when you're telling me to engage my core and to do this with my hips and this with my head, it's a lot. And then when the kids are dancing, I admire what they do, because like bringing the emotion, all that stuff, I'd be sitting there worried about, are my feet doing the right things? Are my hips doing the right things? Where are my hands supposed to be? So the fact that it's progressive makes sense when you think about it, because they have to learn the fundamentals and the one basic thing at a time. What do I do with my feet? What do I do with my hands? Okay, now let's add some hips. Okay, now let's add shoulders. Like, it's too much to think about at once. There's no way they could go in like 1 month from never having danced to doing what
Yeah,
the open championship
course.
routines are. It's not realistic. So I think setting expectations and having the communication with the coaching, with the coaches, is number one, and people being satisfied and happy with the results, is to understand that it's a process and your input determines your output as well. And so understanding, if you want to get to that level, and here's a time frame that's realistic, this is what that involves. Is this many private lessons at the studio? Is this many hours? Is this many competitions? Because it's also different to practice at the studio and do rounds with your friends that you're used to dancing with and seeing every
Yes,
day,
yes.
and then being plopped on a dance floor with kids you may have never seen, or
All kinds of different routines. You don't know who is doing what.
exactly. Like, you learn each other's routines at the studio and you know, "Oh, this couple's gonna go this way, so I know I need to go this way." When you're at a competition, you have no idea which direction these kids are gonna go, and you have to adapt on the fly. And so, like, just being realistic, and talking with the coaches and sharing what your expectation is, letting you will tell them, "This is what that's gonna look
Yes,
like." And then
sure.
trusting that process and being willing to do whatever it takes, to get there within reason, obviously, but like, and what's feasible. But that's the only way it's gonna happen. That's the only way they're gonna be successful.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yay. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions to Leslie or me, please leave your comments below. We will be happy to answer it.